Rain or came through the area yesterday, and you know what? Some of that is going to be coming here today as well. Brittany Hamilton, some people should get ready for some rocky stuff later on.
Exactly. We're talking about severe storms. So, you know, the first initial batch this morning will likely just be some light rain. So as folks are heading to church, running errands, still need the rain gear. But later on, I do want to stress that it's not just rain. You know, sometimes people think, oh, it's just raining. I can still be out here doing whatever I do. No, when you hear that thunder, you definitely need to go indoors. We're taking a look right now at the Fox 46 radar. Most of the area is still fairly dry, but we are still seeing a few showers up in the higher elevations and also over towards Burke County. We're putting your neighborhood first. We're going to take a look at Grassy Creek right now, picking up some light rain showers. This is going to continue to move off to the north and east. So if you're in Patterson, you'll be seeing these storms pretty soon, as well as Triplet. I would say in the next maybe 45 minutes or so not too long. And if you're in Mortimer, you'll likely be seeing this in the next 15 minutes. So this will continue to move off to the north and east. This is all coming from the west. We have a low pressure system that's sitting right over Memphis right now, and this system is very expansive. It extends from the Gulf states all the way up to the Great Lakes. Some areas near the Great Lakes are getting snow right now from this. We definitely won't be seeing any snow because we are in the warm sector of this storm. Means that temperatures will likely be in the 70s, dew points also close to that, and that could sustain some severe thunderstorm development as we go through the rest of this afternoon and evening. So here's a look at your timeline. So if you're planning to be out early this morning, this is probably the better time if you have any plans. We're talking around 11:45. You're seeing some light shower activity up towards the mountains, maybe a few showers here down in Lancaster County, but overall for most of us still fairly dry at that point. But by the afternoon, things change very rapidly. These storms will start to fire up, and it'll just be one after the other. Around 2:45 p.m., if you're in the mountains, you'll likely see some heavy rain and some gusty winds at that point, and possibly some severe storms. Here in the Piedmont area around 4:45, if you're in Gastonia, Rock Hill, Chester, you're seeing all this red showing up, and this is becoming a well-organized line of storms as it passes through the Charlotte area around 5 p.m. So we will definitely continue to watch this because it does have severe potential, especially as it moves further off to the east, picks up a little bit more steam, more heat and humidity. A second line of storms will likely come in around 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. Won't be as strong as the first batch that's coming in, but it will still pack a punch in some areas that maybe didn't see all of those stronger storms earlier in the day. So those strong to severe storms are possible mainly between the hours of 3 and 9 p.m. if you're here in the Piedmont. Damaging wind, hail, flooding, and even isolated tornadoes are expected. And we're keeping an eye on this tornado warning. So if you were just watching Fox 46, we are continuing to monitor this tornado warning that came in for Caldwell County as well as Alexander County. It is moving very quickly, and it's moving north towards Wilkes County, which is also now under a tornado warning. So if you're in any of these areas, you will likely be dealing with some heavier rain, but also you need to know that you should take cover now. You want to be on the lowest level of your house. A basement is preferable, but if you don't have that, the lowest level is fine. Just make sure you're away from windows and doors. You don't want anything shattering. Now, we're going to track this a little bit. I'm going to take a look to see where this storm is going and how long it's going to take to get to your neighborhood. If you're in Boomer, we're talking about maybe 10 to 15 minutes showing up there. Wilkesboro, this will be there in about 30 minutes. And if you're in Trap Hill, about almost an hour before this storm continues to move towards your area. So overall, it's moving pretty quickly, and that area is under a tornado warning. We also still have that tornado watch for most of our viewing area. That does include the Piedmont. We haven't seen any warnings here just yet, but that is something that we're going to continue to watch as we go through the rest of this afternoon and evening. Going to take a look to see if we see any debris coming up with this. As of right now, I see a little bit of a brightness there showing up in that warned area. Not a whole lot, and not a lot of rotation that's showing up on the velocity scan, but it's enough to basically prompt this warning. So even if you don't see the tornado, there could still be some strong winds, as well as the tornado being rain wrapped. That's a very big possibility. So we're going to continue to monitor this over the next couple of minutes as it continues to move out of the area. I'm actually going to send it back into the Fox 46 studio with meteorologist Nick Koser. Nick, have they said anything about the warning, if they're going to extend it or if they're going to continue to let it go?
And that's obviously a cause for concern. You know what? Let's get it back over to Brittany and see what she can tell us. She's in the Fox 46 Neighborhood Storm Watch Forecast Center. And Brittany, Any new information from the National Weather Service?
So I saw that they did kind of decrease the size of that polygon, but still Burke County is in that tornado warning. So if you're in Burke County, you definitely need to be taking cover right now. And you can see on the Fox 46 radar all the brighter colors. Usually that indicates higher reflectivity, higher cloud tops, a lot more rain. And even if you aren't seeing any tornadoes out there right now, it could also be rain rep. That's something to keep in mind as we continue to watch this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you guys can see exactly the area that is under that warning. And this is basically for Burke County. So you see the orange, which is a severe thunderstorm warning, but also that tornado warning. And if you're just tuning in, just coming on to Facebook Live, this tornado warning is for Burke County at this point. So if you're in Rutherford, you guys are in the clear. But if you're in Burke County, Connolly Springs, Drexel, Glen Alpine, and Morganton, this is going until 4 p.m. So it's 3:55 right now. They haven't said, the National Weather Service has not said if they're going to continue it or if they're going to cancel it at this moment. We're just going to continue to watch it as it moves off to the north and to the east. It still looked like it had a pretty good amount of reflectivity. There's some rotation with it. I'm going to clear this off of here as we move through. And notice, if you're over towards Burke County, you're still dealing with all that heavier rainfall coming in, and that could be wrapped around the tornado. So this is a time, a warning. Once again, that means that you need to be taking action now. You need to be on the lowest level of your house. A basement is preferable, but if you're on the lowest level, somewhere away from windows and doors, that is the best place to be when these storms come in. And we're going to reset a little bit, go back to home here so you guys can see exactly where we're talking about, that tornado warning and that severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to check in on the info for that as well, because it's basically the same warned area that's showing up. Drexel, Glen Alpine, so Burke, Caldwell, McDowell, as well as Rutherford counties in that severe thunderstorm warning. Just double checking to see anything coming in from the National Weather Service. And it does look like they're still continuing it until at least 4 p.m. The severe thunderstorm warning is going until 4:15. So that is going to continue for a little bit, even if they do let that tornado warning expire. So we're going to keep an eye on that. Most of the area is under a tornado watch right now. So as we mentioned before, that warning is for Burke, but the tornado watch has been issued for most of our area, and that includes Mecklenburg County. I know a lot of folks have been asking about Gastonia. They're asking about Hickory, Statesville, Salisbury, Charlotte. Well, we don't have any active warnings right now, but this watch means that conditions are favorable for development of those tornadoes. But for the folks that are in Burke County, we will continue to watch this as we go through the next couple of minutes. And if they let this expire at 4, it'll likely be done. But that doesn't mean that it's done for everybody. It's still moving off to the north and to the east, which means that it could still be fairly strong as it makes its way into Caldwell County. So keeping an eye on this as it heads towards Caldwell. Notice we're still looking at this tornado warning. The polygon is a little bit different for the actual severe thunderstorm warning because that's a bit larger, and we are starting to see that here. I'm going to step off and actually show you guys what we're looking at in terms of those watches and warnings and the reflectivity. Most of that now is in Caldwell County. So I'm going to send it back over to Nick Koser, who's in the Neighborhood Stormwatch Center in the studio. Nick?
Yeah, let's get it over to meteorologist Brittany Hamilton, who is doing side-by-side coverage with me. She's in the Fox 46 Neighborhood Stormwatch Forecast Center. Brittany?
Hey, Nick, and that same storm that you're talking about coming out of Chesterfield County right now, we've been keeping an eye on it. One, it was a tornado-warned storm earlier, and now it is a severe thunderstorm warning. And the National Weather Service over in Raleigh, they're looking towards Richmond County and Anson County as this storm is continuing to move there and still kind of packing a punch. It tends to weaken and then move into these areas for better development. We're talking about areas that have more warmth as well as higher dew points. And this is the setup, so zooming all the way out so you can see the low pressure, where this system is actually coming from. That low pressure is way off to the north. We are very much in the warm sector of this storm. There's been a lot of moisture that's been invected in from the south, and that's coming from the Gulf that typically fuels a lot of these storms. And even though, yes, we are seeing a lot of breaks, we haven't seen much here in the Piedmont, there is still a line of storms that looks like it's going to try to make its way through the area as we go through the rest of this evening. And as Nick was talking about, we do have some weather advisories out there and actually some watches. All that you see in the pink here is a tornado watch that's showing up for most of the Piedmont. There is also a severe thunderstorm watch up towards Avery County, and that goes till tonight. And as I mentioned, those dew point temperatures are in the 60s right now and in the 70s as you go towards Rockingham. So as these storms continue to move off to the east, they will still likely intensify some, causing some issues over towards Richmond County. Nick?
Storm system. Let's get it over to Brittany Hamilton, who's got some storm report information for you.
Yeah, Nick, so you just talked about it. We've seen some hail with some of these storms. We've seen a lot of wind reports. We're going to take a look at some of these reports as they came in. Down in Chesterfield County, that same warned storm that was a severe thunderstorm warning showing up across the area, it came up with hail that was about 1/4 of an inch in diameter. And we did see a lot of wind reports, especially up in Burke and Caldwell County near Morganton right now. Trees and power lines down along West Fleming Drive at Morganton Heights Springs Center. So there's been quite a bit of wind damage, and even spots have seen non-thunderstorm wind damage up in the higher elevations in Boone. This wasn't associated with a thunderstorm. You can see that by the title, non-thunderstorm wind damage, but wind gusts in that area have gotten up to about 45 miles per hour today. So that did bring down some trees in the higher elevations. Now, this is the setup that we're still looking at. We're still in the warm sector of this storm. So even though we haven't seen a whole lot in the way of rain or storms in the Charlotte area, that does not mean that we're completely in the clear. We could still see some storm activity tonight. We'll have details on that coming up, but you can go ahead and download the Fox 46 Charlotte weather app. It's free in the App Store and the Google Play Store. You can track these storms as they move towards your neighborhood. Back to you guys.
Brittany.